What's up, guys? This is Rise and welcome to another video. Recently, I got back from the World Championships in Honolulu, Hawaii, and on day one, at the very end of the day, after a long day of battling, they revealed the biggest update to PvP that we've ever seen. And there was a lot of whispers, a lot of speculation that there's going to be a huge meta shakeup, and they certainly delivered on that. But there was more stuff as well that went live, and right now we are going to break down everything that happened. It might take a little while as we scroll through all the changes, and then we're going to go afterwards, after we see all the changes, into PvPoke as a resource and see how it's going to shake up and affect the meta. Without further ado, let's get straight into this thing. So this came at the end of day one of the World Championships YouTube stream. And right off the bat, I don't think anyone was expecting this. The switch timer in the Go Battle League will be changed from 60 to 50 seconds. This is massive. They've experimented with this before when they did like a 30-second switch timer, and that was just a little bit too crazy because basically it takes about 10 seconds, right, to deliver a charge attack. So if you swap and then your opponent counter swaps, by the time it takes both of those Pokemon to get to a charge attack, if they both throw one, that's like about 30 seconds, and then the switch timer is up already. And that just is a little bit too crazy in my opinion, because then it would just be way too much switching, and it would be very hard to keep an advantage throughout a game. So I think 50 seconds is a really nice increment to decrease, because it's not like overzealous in terms of making it crazy as if they were to do 30 seconds or even 40 seconds, but 50 makes it so it's about 3 charge attacks versus 4 charge attacks that it usually takes approximately for the 60-second window to come up. And obviously I'm aware 10 seconds, 4 charge attacks, right? That's only 40 seconds, but yeah, you have to implement the time that it takes to actually get to those charge attacks. So it's usually around 4 charge attacks to balance out that 60-second switch timer. Now it's going to be more like 3 to 4 with that 50-second window. So this is going to be really interesting. 50-second switch timer. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now we get into the attack changes. Rock Slide is going to get nerfed to 65 power. Going to affect things like Vigoroth, Wing Attack, Energy Generation decreased. That's going to affect so many things. Most Gligar, Counter, the two most common fast attacks, the two best fast attacks basically, right off the bat, right out of the gate, getting nerfed. Counter, oh my gosh, Annihilate is getting nerfed. Poliwrath's getting nerfed. Vigoroth has getting nerfed. Dig is also getting nerfed. So Gligar, within the first few seconds of this update, Gligar is going away. Gligar, the most common Pokemon of this season, is going away. Parabolic Charge with multiple buffs will be interesting. Some electric type Pokemon get that. Body Slam. Body Slam, we always talk about one of the most efficient moves, getting nerfed to 50 power. So Magmar Man, a popular trainer in the community, was always on Twitter saying Body Slam needed to be nerfed, and people were like, dude, you're crazy. With Body Slam nerfs, that inherently nerfs so many other things. But it looks like they were on the same page. Swift, energy cost decrease, so now Swift's going to be very efficient to get to, probably 35 energy. Mudshot, 3 to 4 power and energy generation decrease. So Mudshot used to be 9 energy per Mudshot, now it's probably going to be 8, and it goes from 3 to 4 power. So Mudshot's going to be a slightly worse Powder Snow, because Powder Snow is 5 base power if I'm not mistaken. So Mudshot's like a slightly worse Powder Snow. It's almost like a completely different move than it was as we knew it. Future Sight, 120 to 110, so a slight nerf. I think that's because Cresselia looks really good in this meta, so they felt like Future Sight Cresselia would be really strong maybe. They felt like that was a necessary nerf. Fire Spin, power going up. Lots of Fire Spin users. Charizard, Marowak, Alolan Marowak, Kanto Ninetales, of course. Steel Wing, energy generation decrease. Bye-bye Skarmory. Metal Claw increase. Could say hello to something like a Lairon, Empoleon maybe. Trailblaze energy cost decrease. That's really cool because Trailblaze takes quite a while to get to. So to have it decrease, and they gave so many things Trailblaze last season. And here you see the crowd reaction. And I actually took a video on my phone, and well, they've already got it covered there, but I could splice in a little video because I was in the crowd, and I thought this was the funniest thing in the world. Was just when we saw like SmackDown and Razor Leaf nerfs, and everyone just goes crazy in the crowd. But yeah, SmackDown and Razor Leaf going down. Bye-bye. Grass Hole. I think some people will certainly still run Grass Hole. However, it's not going to be as effective now because you're doing slightly less damage, of course. Astonish from 9 to 12 power. That's a pretty big buff. So now things like Driftbloom might see some play. Also things like Dunsparce that have the option for Rollout or Astonish. Fairy Wind power increase, which I actually heard, but I didn't really process to me until this morning when I was like looking at this. Now Fairy Wind, because that move was kind of like a clone of Psycho Cut, of former Mud Shot. And now with a power increase, is it just like strictly better than all those clone moves that were also good already? Anyway, Karate Chop energy generation increase. So it's going to be 9 energy now. Mud Slap +1 power and energy generation increase. This is going to allow a little slug thing to be really good, as we're going to look at in the rankings. Poison Sting increased power, which will make Clodsire really good. Psywave energy generation increase. That's big for Malamar. Rollout. Huge. Like, normally we don't see this stuff, right? Normally we don't see 3 power increase. Normally we see like 1 power increase. But they went big. 3 power increase. Sucker Punch. 3 power increase. That's like crazy. Sky Attack going to do more power, but also more energy cost. Sky Attack is already 50 energy, so even more energy is not going to make Sky Attack a very efficient move, in my opinion. Considering Brave Bird is 55 energy, if Sky Attack's also 55, seems like it's almost not worth Sky Attack. Surf, similar to Sky Attack, more power, but also more energy. Bone Club now to 55 power. Bone Club was a really terrible move. Now with more added 15 power, it's a lot more usable. Brutal Swing. Little less power, but also less energy. So now it's like slightly less than former Body Slam, because former Body Slam was 60 power. So now it's actually better than Body Slam, which is pretty crazy. Nightshade getting some play. More power and less energy. Power Gem, slightly more power, less energy. That's going to be nice for like Shadow Sableye. I don't think it's like game changing for Sableye, but it's certainly nice. Shadow Punch, excuse me. More power. That makes Shadow Punch better than the other punches, I believe, because Shadow Punch is less energy. It's the Thunder, Fire, Ice Punch are all 40 energy versus Shadow Punch is only 35 energy. So now Shadow Punch is kind of like the best punch. And here we go. Attack availability updates. Ledian will now learn the fast attack counter. Ledian is super bulky. That can make it interesting. Fortress learning Volt Switch. What is going on? Breloom Force Palm. Hariyama Force Palm. Minshao. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Force Palm. Minshu. Maybe that's how you say it. Clefable. Draining Kiss. Okay. I don't think Draining Kiss is that good. So they're giving some things Draining Kiss. But we know Force Palm with those fighters from Lucario is a really, really good fast attack. Pangoro will now learn the fast attack Karate Chop. Pangoro with like Karate Chop close combat is going to be really spammy. That's only 5 Karate Chops, hiya, to every close combat. Licky Licky will learn Rollout. Rollout Body Slam spam. It is only 3 rollouts to every Body Slam. I think eventually only 2 if you do enough Body Slams. Spiritomb will now learn the charge attack Rock Tomb. Okay. Dusknoir now has a bait move. That's interesting. Dusknoir not as good as like Dusclops. because it didn't really have a bait move. Now it does. Galarian Slowbro, Trope. Dude, all these things are learning Brutal Swing. Oranguru. I love Oranguru. I think it's a really cool Pokemon. And now it has a cheap move. Brutal Swing is only going to be 3 confusions to every 35 energy Brutal Swing. More things learning Brutal Swing. Runarigus now gets a better bait move with Brutal Swing as opposed to Sand Tomb. Hisuian Typhlosion learning Nightshade. Zorua Zoroark learning Nightshade. Hisuian Decidueye as well. And there you have it. Those are the casters that introduced the moves. And the biggest update we have ever seen, without a doubt. And now we're going to look at how this affects the meta, at least as we can predict it right now. So I will go over to pvpoke.com. And if you go to pvpoke, Matt, who runs pvpoke, has already provided this tab up here where you can press preview next season in the rankings. And Clodsire has jumped up to number 1. So if we look at like the current season, this is the meta that we've been running for ages, right? Reggie, Carbink, Annihilate, Scar, Mantine, Basti, Licky. But now it looks quite a bit different. Quite a bit different. Clodsire. And of course, this is suspect to change because this also has to do with like usage rates. So if Carbink, for example, like isn't going to have that high of usage, it might drop in these rankings. But here we go. Clodsire jumps up to number 1 in the Open Great League. This is largely due to that Poison Sting buff and also just like its place in the meta. Carbink's still at number 2. It didn't really get nerfed. Oh, actually, no. Rock Slide did get nerfed, kind of. And yeah, Carbink still holds its place. That just shows how ridiculously like bulky and strong Carbink is. Feraligatr. And its shadow form as well. Number 3 and number 4. This is crazy. Whoever would have thought Gastrodon would be ranked top 5 in the Open Great League? I certainly didn't. Dunsparce, number 6. Dunsparce with that rollout buff. Now you can actually farm things down. The problem with rollout before was like it was really good energy generation already, but it just had such little damage. It was so difficult to farm things down. Now you can actually farm things down with rollout. Mandibuzz didn't really get nerfed, so Mandibuzz still really strong. Clefable with the Fairy Wind buff, and now a bait move, Swift. You have more baitable opportunities. And if you're running Moonblast Swift, dude, Clefable is gonna be annoying, I gotta say. No disrespect, Clefable. No offense. But can you imagine like getting baited by a 35 energy Swift and then getting Moonblasted in like a neutral matchup? Oh, that is painful. Pangoro, I mean, similarly. Karate Chop to Night Slash, that's only 4 Karate Chops to Night Slash and 5 Karate Chops to Close Combat. That is so spammy. Pangoro is going to be an absolute menace. Send me Pangoro videos as soon as the season drops, please. Get them to me quick. Shadow Machamp, meta again. You don't see Shadow Machamp too much since like the introduction of Annihilate, because Annihilate just kind of hard walls it, and it's pretty much the better counter user. But now that counter's nerfed, Karate Chop's buffed, Shadow Machamp regains a place in the meta, and you see some of its ratings here. Karate Chop going to be 7 and then always 6 to Stone Edge. So pretty dang fast. Only going to be 4 Karate Chops to every Cross Chop. Lots of chops. And Malamar now Psywave. We don't know for sure the stats on Psywave, so stay tuned for that. Quag still holding its place, even with the Mudshot nerf. So Mudshot just pretty much a different move now. Will take some getting used to if you're running Quagsire. Toxapex still holding a place. This is insane. We have done a Kanto Marowak video on the channel before, almost as like a joke of how bad it is with Mudslap Bone Club. Now, Rock Slide ironically got nerfed still, but Bone Club buff, Mudslap buff, that's going to be really spammy ground damage, like really powerful ground damage, and really fast to the Bone Club. So like really, if there is no ground resistance, Marowak Shadow especially is going to be really oppressive to deal with. And it's got relatively decent bulk as well. Yeah, just look at also like just an insane counter to Clodsire. I mean, look at that 900 battle ranking. That's battle rating. That's ridiculous. Azumarill didn't really get nerfed, so still holding its place. Jumpluff with the Fairy Wind buff. I'm a Jumpluff fan. Jumpluff's a fun Pokemon to use, so ranked pretty high. Licky up there. Shadow Gallade up there, and like some of these jumps in the rankings have more to do with what else got jumped. So like Gallade didn't necessarily get a buff, but you see a lot of the things, like a lot of these water types, poison types that got fighting types that are now like really good. It just kind of inherently allows Gallade to jump up in the rankings as well, provided, because look at like it beats all these top meta things. Drapion with the Poison Sting buff. Registeel still holding its spot at 23. So, well, it went from like number 1 to number 23. So I shouldn't say holding its spot. Diggersby, Aurora's pretty high. Wow, that's crazy. Machoke, Shadow, Golurk. A lot of people have been talking to me about Golurk. Mudslap buff, Shadow Punch buff. Really spammy ground and ghost damage, which not a lot of things are going to like resist both of those. Mandibuzz would be something that like kind of walls off that, but you at least have dynamic punch coverage for that to hit for neutral. Golurk's going to be a really interesting one. Quillfish, one of our favorites. A-Slash up to number 30. I mean, with counter nerf, you're not as threatened just to get absolutely smashed by a lot of those counter users. Karate Chop, of course, still not going to be fun for A-Slash, but you get rid of like its most devastating threats in a sense. Whiscash still relatively high. Got Steelix up here. Shadow AWAC, of course. Galarian Weezing. Fairy Wind buff plus Brutal Swing buff makes Weezing just strictly better. Wow, 38's pretty crazy for Weezing. Greninja up here. Shadow Ursaring, what? Swift. Shadow Ursaring at 44. That is absolutely insane. I am definitely going to want to run that. Send me Shadow Ursaring battles. New season goes live in like 9 days, I believe. Miltank, pretty high. Got buffed with Rollout, but also got nerfed slightly with Body Slam, so kind of evens out, I think, with Miltank, to be honest. Shadow Hippowdon. Swampert's still kind of high. And the thing with Swampert, I was a huge Swampert fan, so that was one reason I was like a little bit sad with the Mudshot change, because I love Swampert, but also it's not that drastic in terms of pacing, because it used to be 5-4, 5-4 from Hydro Cannon. Now it's only going to be 5 every time. So it's not like super drastic of a change, just a little bit slower. Man, it just keeps on going. Maybe we'll go through the first 100 or so, see if we notice anything crazy. Shadow Dusknoir up to 66 with Astonish. And Astonish, that damage is going to be astonishing, you might say. Shadow Punch, of course. Let's see, we keep going, Anything else we noticed? Togetic, Fairy Wind buff. Skuntank, Trailblaze helps that out a little bit. Shadow Cresselia down here at 89. And yeah, that looks to be most of the big things. Lokix with that Sucker Punch buff will be a little bit more interesting. Just so much to cover and so much content as we approach this new season. So, if you guys are excited, as I am, drop a like on this video. Get ready to experiment with some new stuff. Send me battles your way if you're wondering how. Links always in the description, Google form, in every single video. And the biggest update we have ever seen. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. If you're new, comment down below. All comments are appreciated. And join memberships if you want some exclusive perks on the channel, exclusive live streams, and early access to videos and other stuff. So all that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.